Welcome to Thought Frontier.
All right, get this. What if everything, and I mean everything, we see, touch, experience, it's all just part of one giant simulation?
Yeah.
Kind of sounds like a late night dorm room conversation, right?
Yeah.
But you wouldn't believe the wild theories and the actual science swirling around this whole idea.
Good could go on.
You've sent over a treasure trove of articles and even like a YouTube deep dive from the Y-Files channel, all exploring this simulation hypothesis.
Right.
So are we living in the Matrix? That's what we're going to find out.
Let's unpack it.
Let's unpack it.
You know, it's not just sci-fi anymore. We've got everyone from philosophers to physicists trying to wrap their heads around this.
Yeah.
And honestly, some of the arguments are surprisingly compelling.
Okay, hit me with the mind-blowing basics here. Where do we even begin to unravel this whole thing?
Well, you know, any good deep dive starts with the foundation, right?
Yes.
And for the simulation hypothesis, that's the philosophical argument. There's this guy, Nick Bostrom, a pretty big deal Oxford philosopher, put forward this idea back in 2003. And let me tell you, it really shook things up.
This is the one that Elon Musk is always going on about, right? Something about the odds being astronomically against us actually being in base reality.
Exactly. Bostrom's argument basically goes like this. If any civilization, us, or some, like, crazy advanced alien race, gets to the point where they can create truly realistic simulations, and we're talking like indistinguishable from reality, wouldn't they make a bunch of them?
Yeah.
And if those simulations can then like spin off their own simulated realities, you've basically got yourself a potentially infinite loop of realities within realities.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going. This is a lot to take in.
The odds of us being the original non-simulated reality become incredibly small, like incredibly small, when you actually think about the sheer number of potential simulations that could be out there. It's almost like trying to find the one real dollar bill in a sea of counterfeits.
Whoa. Okay. So statistically speaking, we're probably just lines of code in some supercomputer's weekend project.
Basically, yeah.
If that's true, I hope they're at least getting good grades on it.
Right.
But let's get real for a second. Is there anything beyond just like, fancy philosophical footwork that suggests we're living in a digital world?
Well, that's where things get really interesting. Some people point to certain anomalies, things that seem to like glitch in our supposedly real world as potential evidence.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of the Mandela effect?
Wait, is that the thing where people remember it being the Berenstain Bears instead of Berenstein?
Yes.
Because, yeah, that one messes me up. But is that really like a sign of a simulation breaking down, or is it just, the human brain being kind of bad at remembering details?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The Mandela effect, where these large groups of people have these completely different memories of the same event, is often cited as a potential glitch in the matrix.
Okay.
Think about it. If our memories are just data in a simulation, maybe those data files are getting corrupted or overwritten.
Okay, that's a little creepy, but I'm intrigued. What other glitches do people point to? Give me the good stuff.
Oh, there are plenty of rabbit holes to go down. People report all sorts of strange happenings, objects disappearing and reappearing, bizarre, and I mean bizarre coincidences, those moments of intense deja vu that make you question if you've lived this moment before. Some even believe these could be signs of the simulation, like adjusting, like when a video game lags or loads a new area.
All right, now we're getting into some Black Mirror territory. While those stories are definitely weird, I'm not sure I'm ready to call them hard evidence just yet.
I hear you. And that's the thing about the simulation hypothesis. We're dealing with a lot of what-ifs and speculation. But here's where it gets really interesting. Some of the most compelling arguments come from the world of physics.
Okay.
Because what if the very laws that govern our universe are actually clues to its true nature?
Oh, and now you're speaking my language. I can't wait to dive deeper into that rabbit hole. Last time on our deep dive into the simulation hypothesis, we went from questioning the very fabric of reality to pondering if we can even trust our own memories.
That's a lot.
Turns out even remembering how many E's are in Berenstain can send you down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But you hinted that some of the most compelling clues might be hiding in plain sight.
It's true.
In the laws of physics themselves. So spill the tea. What kind of cosmic code are we talking about?
Okay, think about it this way. What if the limitations of our universe aren't limitations at all, but actually clever design choices by some cosmic programmer who's just trying to, keep things running smoothly?
Okay, now that's a perspective I haven't considered before. Give me an example.
Okay, let's talk about the speed of light.
Okay.
It's the ultimate speed limit in our universe.
Right.
Nothing, and I mean nothing, can go faster,
Right.
no matter how much energy you throw at it.
Yeah.
It's like a hard and fast rule woven into, like, the fabric of reality.
Right. It's like physics 101.
Exactly.
But how is that a clue to us living in a simulation?
Well, what if that speed limit isn't actually about, physics, but about processing power?
Mm-hmm.
Think about it simulating an entire universe with all its complexity, all the stars, the planets.
Oh, yeah.
Everything
It's a lot to render.
would take an insane amount of computational power, even for, like, a super advanced civilization.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So you're saying the speed of light could be like a built-in throttle,
Yeah.
a way to limit how fast information travels
Yes.
and keep the simulation from like crashing? Like when I have to close a bunch of tabs on my browser so my laptop doesn't explode?
Exactly. By limiting the speed of light, the simulators, whoever they are,
Right.
could be placing a cap on how much of the universe actually needs to be rendered in detail at any given moment.
That's both brilliant and terrifying at the same time. But is there like any actual evidence to support this idea, or are we just in pure speculation mode here?
I mean, it's definitely on the speculative side, I'm not going to lie.
Sure.
But it's not entirely without merit. I mean, some physicists have actually pointed to the rigid mathematical nature of our universe's laws as being consistent with a simulated reality.
So we're basically just characters in a giant video game with really, really strict rules?
Kind of, yeah.
Man, I should have chosen the infinite lives cheat code.
Right.
That would have been good.
That would be helpful.
Yeah, that would have been helpful.
That leads us to another fascinating piece of the puzzle, the double slit experiment. Have you heard of that one?
Oh, yeah, I read about that one. It's the one where, like, tiny particles act like they have ESP, right?
It's a class out.
Like they know they're being watched.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a classic experiment in quantum mechanics that reveals something truly bizarre about the nature of reality. Imagine you're, like, shining a light through two slits.
Okay.
You'd expect to see two bright bands on the other side, right? Just like straight lines.
Makes sense to me. Light plus slits equal stripes.
Exactly. But here's the thing. When you fire individual particles, like electrons, at those slits, something truly mind-boggling happens.
What?
Instead of behaving like, tiny marbles,
Right.
they create an interference pattern, like waves spreading out and interacting with each other.
Wait, so they're going through both slits at the same time? How is that even possible?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
It's like they exist in multiple states at once
Right.
until we actually try to observe them.
Bizarre.
And here's where the simulation hypothesis comes back into more. And some physicists believe this bizarre behavior suggests that our reality isn't actually rendered until it's observed, like we're seeing it.
Hold on, so you're saying until we, the observers, interact with something, it exists in this, like, blurry state of possibilities, like the universe is just showing us a low-res version until we zoom in.
Precisely. It's like in a video game, right?
Right.
Where the environment is only rendered in high detail around the player's character,
Just save processing power.
to conserve processing power. Exactly.
Right.
This idea, it's known as observer-dependent reality. And let me tell you, it's a mind-blowing concept with profound implications for our understanding of the universe, simulated or not.
Okay, my brain is officially in pretzel mode.
Yeah.
Observer-dependent reality, speed limits as processing constraints.
Right.
It's a lot to take in.
I know, right? It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But we haven't even touched on the biggest mystery of them all, consciousness.
Right.
How do our subjective experiences, our feelings, our sense of self fit into this simulated world? How do we get that?
All right, now you've got my attention. Part 3 can't come soon enough. Okay, let's recap for a second. We've gone from questioning if, like, reality is just a really advanced video game.
Yeah, like super
To
data.
wondering if the universe has, like, a pause button for when things get too glitchy.
You never know.
But you were saying there's an even bigger mystery lurking beneath the surface, our own consciousness. So how does that, like, the very essence of being, of feeling, of questioning our existence fit into this whole simulated reality thing?
It's the question, right? I
Right.
mean, in a simulated universe, even the laws of physics they could just be lines of code, just rules programmed into the system.
Yeah.
But consciousness,
Yeah.
that subjective experience of being you, me, anyone,
Right.
That's a whole other level of complexity.
Right, like if we're just these complex algorithms running on some cosmic supercomputer, why do we like feel things so deeply? Why does a good song give you goosebumps or a beautiful sunset? Like take your breath away. If it's all just ones and zeros, where does the feeling come from?
Yeah, that's the question.
It's a trip, man.
It's a real head scratcher, and there are a few schools of thought on this.
Okay.
Some folks in the simulation camp, they believe that consciousness might actually be the ultimate output, the data stream that the simulators, whoever they are actually interested in.
Wait, are you saying our feelings, our experiences, all that, like
Yeah.
juicy human stuff, it's all being collected and analyzed by whoever or whatever is running this simulation? Like we're all on some cosmic reality show.
It's a wild thought, right?
Yeah.
Imagine each of us.
It's very Black Mirror.
It is very Black Mirror. Yeah,
Yeah.
each of us with our unique perspectives and our joys, our heartbreaks,
Right.
our triumphs, failures, all of it, generating these valuable data points for some unknown entity out there.
Right.
What if our lives, our very existence, is all about providing this insight into the human experience to them, not to us?
Okay, now I'm picturing some like advanced alien teenager watching over us like we're Sims, getting bored when we pay our taxes and then sending a meteor shower when things get too predictable.
Right, exactly.
So
Like they need a little spice.
They need something, exactly.
Yeah, a little action.
It's a funny image, but it does really highlight the core question here.
Right.
What if we're not the audience,
Yeah.
but the performance? And what does it even mean to experience life, to feel love and loss
Right.
in a reality where our very atoms might just be pixels on a screen somewhere else?
Whoa. That takes the whole existential crisis thing to a whole new level. But even if our emotions are just data points in some grand cosmic experiment,
Yeah.
that doesn't make them any less real to us, does it?
Exactly. And that's the thing. Simulated or not, the human
Right.
experience is something to be cherished and to ponder and explore. You know what I mean? Yeah, I feel that. So where do we go from here? If we entertain the possibility, even for a moment, that we're living in a simulation, what does it even change? What's the point?
That's the beauty of this whole thing, isn't it?
Mhm.
It forces us to confront some truly fundamental questions
Yeah.
about the nature of reality, the meaning of life, our place in all of this, in the grand scheme of things, and whether we find, definitive answers or not, is almost beside the point.
For someone who is pretty skeptical at the beginning of this whole deep dive, I gotta admit, this whole simulation thing has really gotten under my skin. It's fascinating
Yeah.
and terrifying and exhilarating all at the same time.
It's a wild ride, it really is.
It's a lot.
But, even if we're just bits in a vast simulation, the ability to question and explore and wonder,
Yeah,
that's something kind of special, don't you think?
it really is.
So keep asking the big questions,
Yeah.
keep searching for answers, and maybe, just maybe, we'll catch a glimpse of the code that makes this whole reality thing tick.
Well said. And who knows, maybe somewhere out there, beyond the pixels and the processing power, someone or something is listening to our conversation right now,
Right.
just as curious about our simulated world as we are about theirs, if there is one.
Exactly.
I want to thank you for taking this deep dive with us. This was a wild one.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thanks again.
Thank you.